Hello everyone, and welcome to another royal reading. And my goodness, what a day it has been. The interviews, of course, starting to come out and not being well received, as everyone foresaw, really. Everyone probably except Harry and Meghan and perhaps Anderson Cooper. But I'm going to look today, just briefly, initial response. My first reading today is on the public reception, public perception, as the dog shouts outside. And the second reading I will do is on Prince William today. There's lots of hot topics to read on, talk about in the days to come. But for now, I just really want to see how the most important people are doing. And the most important people really, first off for me, are the public, and particularly the British public. Opinion polls have come out today. Has-beens popularity is now at an all-time low of -38. That's Prince Andrew territory. And interestingly, he's hit a new low among 18 to 24-year-olds, and the low is 0. He is now down to 0 with them, and they were the demographic that Harry and Meghan were particularly aiming at, and almost claiming to lead, and really trying to be attractive to and ally themselves with as the young royals, who are obviously middle-aged by now. So let's remind you, as I shuffle, tarot reading for entertainment purposes, or just my opinion. I read on the royals for archetypal purposes. We can learn from archetypes, and they are the archetypal family, in my opinion. And of course, there is a disclaimer in the box below. And I'm just using the regular Rider-Waite tarot for this reading. I'm going to do a 7-card reading. We're going to look at how the public felt about Harry's tone. He looked very angry to me, surly, and there was a little sneer every now and then. I personally couldn't watch the interviews. I find his energy so bad now, and his voice so irritating, particularly the mannerisms that he's picked up from the wife, all that right at the end of everything. I can't stand it. So I've seen clips, and I've read a lot about it today. All quite overwhelming, actually. So we're going to see how credible they think he is, how truthful, how honest, how reliable, trustworthy he is. Drugs, the drug use, how do they feel about that? That just went on and on and on. So what do they think of that? What do they feel about the attacks on his family? He really bashed Camilla. He's bashed William and Catherine. It's Catherine's birthday today, of course. Happy birthday to Catherine. Goodness me. And then before and after, I want to see how their attitude to him might have changed. Would they have him back? He seems to be trying to, trying to weasel his way into a Commonwealth role, having absolutely bashed the Commonwealth in the docu-series. But would the British public say, yes, okay, do welcome, we welcome you back, and how would they feel about that? So 7-card reading, Rider-Waite tarot. And let's just have a look and see. Yeah, underlying energies, no surprise here. The 5 of Swords is the fighting card. And the card is in the reverse, and you heard that great big sigh. I honestly, I'm in the beginning it was kind of amusing when the first anecdotes came out, and was a bit ho-ho. But it really is so grim and so terrible. And the dog agrees. He's come to watch this reading. When you see someone digging his own grave, really, that's my opinion, but also trying to drag the rest of his family into that grave with him, it's too terrible. 5 of Swords, underlying energy, in reverse, never-ending fighting. No, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. All these grievances, parking spots, and goodness me, a free apartment in Kensington Palace. And he had to go down some stairs to get it, so it's somewhat of a basement apartment. And parking spots, and showered with somebody's hair, and it's insane. How grateful he should be. The thing that most aggrieves me, and I'm sure everyone else, is what privilege this man has been born into. How grateful he should be. How much he could have done with all these gifts and opportunities. The people he's met. in his life, and he can only grumble about parking spots and broken dog bowls. But anyway, that energy is of the never-ending complaining and woe is me and grievances and attacks on people. But they want it to stop. We're looking at this from the British public's point of view. They really want it to stop. 5 of Swords in reverse. Just shut up. Get over it. Move on. Go away. So as the signifier for the public's perception of this whole thing, what do they think? Knight of Swords in reverse, a very nasty card. I always say that with this card, particularly when it's in reverse. Quite useful when it's upright. Someone comes charging in, the knight in shining armor, riding to your rescue, perhaps. But when it's in the reverse, it's just mean. It's vicious, it's cruel, it's abusive. It's using words, it's using thoughts to attack and criticize and condemn, and it's too much. We've got it twice now. They can't stand it. They can't stand all of this, all these grudges and these grievances and these attacks. So that's interesting. They can't stand it. And the opinion polls obviously reflect that. So let's see how they view his tone, his appearance, his demeanor, anything like that. What do they have to say about it? So they've already told us Knight of Swords in reverse, but what else does universe want to tell us? Somebody who's just stuck in their own woe is meisms and can't shift himself out of it, despite all the drugs he's tried and all the therapists he's thanked in the acknowledgements page, and the fact that he has done nothing for the last almost 40 years but moan and complain. There it is. We've got the 8 of Cups, but it's come out in the reverse. Somebody who just can't get over himself, can't shift himself out of that sense of grievance and self-pity and the absolute focus on all the terrible things that have happened to him. And yes, terrible things have happened to him, but terrible things have happened to other people too. Terrible things even have happened to people in Afghanistan that he might have had some sensitivity about if only he'd seen past his own. Let me not get crudely biological. But anyway, so yeah, they're completely over it. They're over the moaning and the whinging, but ginger whinger. They just see him as somebody who's filled with self-pity and grievances. How do they feel about his credibility, his truthfulness, or his truthiness? As George Bush, I think it was George Bush talked about his truthiness. How do they feel about that? Trustworthy? Can they rely on what he's saying? Do they accept it as this is the truth? PR, it's all spun. It's become my spin card. This poor little Page of Wands didn't always have that meaning, but in my royal readings, it's become my spin card. PR. This is getting the message out. They think he's basically trying to put himself forward as a good messenger, as a positive messenger. He's trying to portray himself as somebody who is the bearer of good news. Look at me, I come with glad tidings, not glad tidings, but I come with a positive message for myself. I come with a positive message for myself, but they see it as a narrative that's being constructed. Wands are very often about international travel, things being abroad. They see him, he's pushed off overseas. There we have the pyramids in the background. He's gone away, that Page of Wands. And now he is lecturing people and pontificating in this sort of self-righteous and smug way. That poor little Page of Wands hardly ever has that meaning for me, but a kind of massaging the truth there in that card. How do they feel about the drugs? The confession about all the drug use, and many people speculate ongoing drug use, and Lady C has basically come out and said yes, both of them are hardcore drug addicts there in Montecito. But the alleged drug use ongoing, but the past drug use, how do they feel about it? And the Queen of Pentacles, to me it's the late Queen, and I think they feel that they're glad she's not around to have to hear about it. It's like you don't really want your granny to hear about your the sordid details of your life. Mom and Dad, yeah, you can tell them things, but not your granny, not in her 90s, not when she came from a completely different world, completely different era, and not really. That's what I'm getting off this card. This isn't shock and horror. This isn't, oh no. I don't think they're at all surprised, put it that way. They completely, I think, know about it, completely expected this. And I think you just have to look at him, you just have to look at his behavior, you have to look at Megan's behavior and suspect that both of them have got issues. So no surprise, no horror, no oh my, can't believe it, nothing like that, but it is more, she has a slightly pained look on her face, that Queen of Pentacles, like we wish you could be stable and solid and grow up and be worthy of that, your late grandmother and her attempts to help you and all of that. I'm getting a very particular narrative off that card. That is not, I'm reading a story into it. So as I say, no shock, no horror, but more for me, I wish that he would grow up and stabilize and get serious and put in work and be worthy of his grandmother, who they all think, phew, so glad she's not around to hear this and see this. So drag's not a big deal. It's more like protecting the dear old lady. She was certainly not an innocent dear old lady, but it's kind of that sense that's coming off that card, really. And I'm starting to laugh, and I'm glad I'm starting to laugh, because I really haven't felt like laughing today, seeing all this nonsense coming out, and the lies and the backtracking and the U-turns and the craziness. So that's the drugs. How about the attacks on members of the family, and particularly Prince William and Camilla, the Queen Consort? How do they feel about that, the British public? Yeah, he's never going to get over this. Four of Swords in reverse. The Four of Swords is the defeat card, the resting, retiring from the lists, defeated, take time out, heal, recover. It's in the reverse. They don't see that this can ever be healed. Because it's relentless. The Four of Swords in reverse is somebody who doesn't give up, who doesn't just realize when it's time to shut up and stop and admit defeat and go away and just have a think. Dog's been quiet all day. Anyway, never mind. Four of Swords in reverse. This is also the card of ruined reputation, the Four of Swords, because the person is defeated. And they see this. This is the problem. Drugs, don't care. Attack your family. No recovering from that. Worst of all possible things you can do, basically. It's ruined his reputation. He's trying very hard to ruin their reputations, William's and Camilla's in particular, seemingly, very directly. That beep, 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 you might have heard in the background, was our lights coming back on. We're load shedding still. I don't even bother to talk about it anymore. It's been going on now for about 6 months without pause. And so we're just all learning to live with it now. But anyway, Four of Swords in reverse, yeah. This is very bad. He can't let go of it. He can't stop. The same as the Five of Swords in reverse. Harry has got a real problem with this resentment, with this envy, jealousy, grievance, these grudges, and they do not like it, the British public. So how did they feel about this before? I'm just checking the before and after. So before, how did they feel about has been? Not good. Seven of Swords in reverse. The Seven of Swords is the running away card, the ghosting, the stealing, the lying, the cheating. Also illness card. I'm more and more reminded that card can represent illness, the Seven of Swords. And yeah, so they're in reverse, caught out by your lies, exposed, guilty, having to confess, walking into a trap, being exposed to being very ill. So they had a very low opinion of him before, that he already, they pretty much knew the worst of the worst as far as they thought they did. They didn't realize the level of pettiness that we were all going to be exposed to, possibly, but they certainly saw him as small-minded and as vicious and aggrieved and perhaps untruthful, and being caught out for his lies. And that's the past energy. So what do they think now, afterwards, in the aftermath of all of this? Would they welcome him back? How would they feel about him coming back? So it's a multifaceted question. We'll see what universe wants to tell us. 5 of Wands in reverse. They want the fighting to be over. I've got this twice now. I've got 2 conflict cards. 5s are change and conflict, both in reverse. The 5 of Swords as the underlying energy in the reverse. 5 of Wands now as the outcome of this. I don't think there would be a rapturous reception for him if he came back, but he would have to come back with his hat in hand and say, I'm not going to fight anymore. Because the 5 of Wands is about ambition, it's about competition, it's about, when it's in reverse, it's about fighting dirty, it's about fighting in amongst people that are your equals, your team, your family members in a group. I always say that about the 5 of Wands. This one isn't. This one is often just your own mind. You're fighting your own demons with the 5 of Swords. Here, you're fighting actual people because you want to best them. It can be healthy at some points to engage in that sort of sparring with people. Test yourself against people, but they wanted to stop the British public. I don't think they care if he comes back or not. It's not they're going to be lined up at the airport and booing as he walks through the arrivals hall. Of course, he would be whisked through the fancy place where all the celebs go. But I don't think that they'd be lining the streets chucking fruit at him and catcalling and all the rest of it. I don't think they'd react like that because they see that there's something profoundly wrong with him. But he's got to stop fighting. He's got to stop this. It's imperative that he stop. And he has said very loudly and repeatedly that his life's quest is to restructure the media, and he's going to carry on these battles. So that doesn't bode well for him. And of course, there is the core reason why he wants to fight the media and silence the media, which we still haven't read on. We've read on it, or the things that go bump. But time for that in future. The suspicion being that might come out. That story might come out, and then they're both done. Unless they try and blame the royals for it. Anyway, this is the British public's perception of him. It's not favourable. It's not positive at all. They see him putting spin on stories. They're glad that the Queen isn't around to see what's going on and how he's lived his life, basically. But really, just shut up, Harry. Stop all this fighting. Stop all these attacks and these accusations, and get over it. That's the general sentiment from the British public. Not surprising, but it's always good when you see cards that come out and confirm the opinion polls and the whatever, that we know we're tapping into the correct energy here. That is the immediate response. He has certainly not done himself any favors by writing this book and by going out and doing those interviews, digging a huge hole for himself. That is your first reading. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you over on the next one.